A-League Men round 23 is upon us. 4 matches remaining for just about every team. This weekend is going to be so crucial for teams at either end of the ladder. There is so many storylines. It's hard to pick. Every game is important this weekend, and it kicks off with Western Sydney Wanderers hosting Brisbane Roar. Wanderers finally getting back into some decent form in the last couple of matches, couple away wins, and if they can perform the same way they did in that second half against Macarthur, they could have a really strong finish to the end of the season if they can keep that sort of that form up for the remainder of the campaign. They're coming up against a Brisbane Roar side who, again, have just been really inconsistent this season, coming off an away loss to Wellington Phoenix. You get to say it's difficult to see Brisbane to come away from this game with a result. Their lineup has been chopping and changing. They've struggled with injuries here and there as well. Brisbane, they're potentially a team who, you look at the squad and there are talented players there. The Raw, I think, are a team who could really charge up the ladder next season. You get to say this is a Wanderers win just based off the current form as well. I think Wanderers have finally overcome that slump. I'm going 2-0 Western Sydney. They've just got too much class and quality at the moment, and I expect them to have a pretty decent finish to the campaign after overcoming those hurdles. A historical game on Saturday at Arvo because Western United are playing their first game out of their new facility out there in the west of Melbourne, Tarneet. They are hosting Macarthur FC for the first ever men's fixture there. 3:30 p.m. kickoff local time, and this is a game that I think is a chance for Western United to celebrate their first match at the new home with a win against a Bulls side who really disappointing the way that they fell apart in that second half against Wanderers in the Western Sydney Derby. The Bulls, who had a lot of possession and chances in that game, just lacked a bit of cutting edge. Western United, again, they'll be disappointed that they conceded 4 goals to Adelaide last week. But this feels like it could be one of those one-off games where Western grab what would be pretty much an upset win here, and it would really shake up the top 6 as well if Macarthur were to lose. But I do think that's what will happen. I reckon Western get up here. I think purely from the fact that they are playing at this new home stadium, and Daniel Pena, even though he was quiet last week, has been good to finish off the season. Michael Roos got on the score sheet again last week as well. They are capable of grabbing points here, and I think there is an opportunity to do so at home, the new home against the Bulls. Central Coast Mariners, Wellington Phoenix is shaping up. I mean, this is a crazy Saturday, isn't it? I mean, Mariners and Phoenix is shaping up as potentially the fixture of the round, and that's saying a lot considering that they're playing just before a Melbourne Derby. The 2 top teams in the land. Central Coast Mariners, man, I mean, this is a crucial game for them just to stay in touch with the Phoenix. A win makes it really interesting, the premiership race for a win for the Mariners, that is. But a win for the Wellington Phoenix, man. I think if Phoenix win this game, I said it earlier as well, this game has been highlighted for weeks now. It's been highly anticipated by fans of both teams. I think if Phoenix win this game, I think it's done. I think the premiership race is done. I know that there's a few more games after this, but Phoenix have been so good this season, as have Mariners, but Phoenix have been so good and simply do not drop points. They do not give away any easy points, and I can't see them dropping any points for the remaining, the remaining games after this one as well. Having said that, I think there is an opportunity here for Mariners with the home advantage to come away with a result from this game. It'll take a big effort against a Phoenix side who, even coming from a Mariners fan, I think Wellington Phoenix have been the best team in the competition this year. 1-1 draw, look, I would take it, and then it's just a matter of who's going to slip up from there if either of these teams do. But a 1-1 draw, I think even, from a neutral point of view, it'll be interesting to see what neutral fans have to say about that one. I'm not confident enough to tip my Mariners getting over the line in this one. Melbourne Derby, though, plenty to talk about in this one. We've got a victory side who are almost like an outside, they're an outside chance of catching first place there and making the premiership, but they've got to pretty much win every game from here on out. Hosting Melbourne City in the Melbourne Derby. Melbourne City are an interesting one for me. They're a team who I think are better than where the ladder represents them to be right now, sitting outside the top 6. I think there's a serious chance they do sneak into the top 6. Maybe in those last couple of weeks they just managed to get it done. But look, it's going to have to take their best performance. The City, despite having so many big names, they just haven't been able to string it together consistently this season. But on their day, they are really, really hard to stop. It's going to be a really fascinating battle. And obviously, we have to think back to the previous derbies this season, the scoreless draws. I mean, can someone finally break the deadlock? There is so much attacking threat on both sides. I think this is the derby where we do finally get goals. I'm going to go 2-2 draw, though. I'm not confident enough to say that either of these teams are going to win. I think most people would probably be tipping Melbourne victory. But as I said, I think on their day, Melbourne City, man, they are capable of scoring goals. Whether it is, Yakalish, Natel, Lecky coming off the bench, McLaren, who has been utilised off the bench, but, he likes stepping up in these big games, Jamie McLaren. So really fascinated to see how this one plays out, man. Melbourne Derby, the last one for the season. Saturday afternoon, two fixtures that should be pretty fun to watch. Newcastle Jets are hosting Sydney FC. The Jets, you got to say just about now, finals are out of reach for them. Sydney FC building some decent form of late, and a Sky Blue side who are looking real good under Ufuk Talay this season, and look like they're set to play finals once again this year. I think for me, this prediction is probably the easiest of the weekend. Got to say 1-0. Again, I've been pretty optimistic about Newcastle Jets and the way that they've been playing, especially early on in the season. I thought maybe the results would have come for them. Didn't happen. Didn't eventuate, unfortunately for Newcastle Jets fans. This is a game that I think the Sky Blues should win. You look at the teams on paper, far too much strength. Credit to Robbie Stanton, who's been doing a really good job, sort of integrating and the young players and giving them plenty of game time. But this is a game that I think the Sky Blues should win here. 1-0. Could be more goals in it. Maybe a 2-1 win for Sydney potentially. But let's go for the 1-0 win there. A clean sheet as well for the Sky Blues once again. Perth Glory, Adelaide United finish off the weekend. And this is a game that, if you remember from last season, it was the match towards the end of the season as well, similar to this one, where I think it ended like 4-3 or 4-4. I can't remember off the top of my head. But there was an insane final 5-10 minutes to that game. Nestori Irankunda was scoring goals. It was back and forth. And these teams always tend to play out intense matches. I remember there was a semi-final between these teams that went to a penalty shootout a few years ago as well, back in 2019. Again, we could see an entertaining game here, as we always tend to see at HBF Park, home of Perth Glory. Adelaide United back to goal-scoring ways last week with a 4-1 win at home to Western United. I think they'll score goals here, but I think Perth will as well. Look, the Glory have been a little bit underwhelming of late, even though they did have some decent results sort of in the mid sort of period of the season. Goals in this game, I think we can expect 2-2. It could well be the likely outcome. Two teams who have been, integrating more young players, especially Perth Glory. Alan Stajic fielded a pretty youthful side against Melbourne Victory last week. They did lose, but there is talent on that side, and if with Adam Taggart always there's always a chance for goals here, and I think we will indeed get those goals in WA to finish off the round 2-2. Feel free to drop your predictions in the comment section down below. My name's Lockie. This is Coastwood Football, and enjoy the A-League.